So today I'm going to be doing a January wrap-up video. If you've not seen these videos before, it's basically what I show you that I've read in the month of January. I do these every sort of now and again, and I've read quite a few books this month, so I thought I would show you. Very mixed reviews on some, so let's get started. So the first book I read this month is a bit of an unusual book for me to pick up, but when I saw it in Tesco I couldn't help but pick it up, and this is Henry the Queen's Corgi. This is by Georgie Crawley, and it's basically about a corgi that gets mixed up within the royal family and the royal corgis, and about his adventures in trying to get back to his own family. I really enjoyed this book. It was sort of light-hearted, funny. I love dogs, I love corgis, I love the royal family, so that was really interesting to read about, and overall I just really liked it. I do think it's probably aimed at younger viewers, but nonetheless I did enjoy it. So I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I'll just read you the blurb on the back. So it says, "This Christmas anything could happen. When their pet corgi goes missing on a trip to London, the Walker family search everywhere, but Henry has ended up in the one place they never think to look. Henry has been mistaken for a royal corgi by the Queen's Guard and found himself in a very different sort of family home. In no time, Henry is getting the royal treatment in Buckingham Palace, from velvet thrones to a personal chef. If this is a dog's life, he doesn't mind one bit. But as Christmas spirit fills the palace, Henry knows he must somehow get back to the Walkers, because true family is for life, not just for Christmas." So even though this is centered sort of around Christmas, I didn't think it was a very Christmassy book at all. So it's definitely a book you could read all year round. And it's just one of those light-hearted, funny books. Again, I don't think it's just limited to sort of younger viewers, younger readers. I think it was really, really good. So sadly, the next book I read was very different. Again, this is one I picked up in Tesco, and I thought I would really like it. This is by Victoria Hislop, and it's Carte Postales from Greece. I only gave this 1 star. It's very rarely that I give a book 1 star, but this was one of those books that even after like 150 pages I was like not into it and just like skim reading it just to finish the book. Some people say, oh, you should have just put the book down and just left it, why bother reading the rest? But for me it's like that thing of ticking another book off. But I really can't tell you what happened in this book. I'll read you the back of the book so you get an idea. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I know this is a very highly praised author. She's got a lot of books out, but it's just not something I was very interested in. I felt like it was a little bit confusing the way it was written, from sort of present day into the past, and then there was these postcard element and then these other random stories. It was all just a bit confusing for me, but that's just my opinion. I'll read you the back of the book. It says, "Week after week the postcards arrive, addressed to someone Ellie does not know, each signed with an initial, A. These alluring carte postales of Greece brighten her life and cast a spell on her. She decides she must see this country for herself. On the morning Ellie leaves for Athens, a notebook arrives. Its pages tell the story of a man's odyssey through Greece, moving, surprising and sometimes dark. A's tales unfolds with a discovery not only of culture but also of desire to live life to the full once more." So it's not hugely about Ellie and her getting these postcards and finding out where these postcards come from and who they were addressed to. It's more so of this guy A and his travels through Greece and how he navigated life. And I just didn't warm to this book, so I'm not going to spend any more time talking about that. The next book, again, very different from that, and I did do a separate book review on this one, so that will be up soon, if not already up. And that is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This was actually the first John Green book I've read, surprisingly enough. But this centres around anxiety, and that was the reason that drew me into it. It's about 2 best friends that this billionaire goes missing, and it turns out that one of the girls used to be friends with his son. So her best friend sort of conjures up a plan to get them back in contact to maybe help and get the reward for giving the police some information about this missing billionaire. But it also centres around anxiety and her sort of dealings with it, and her sort of like almost OCD. I did give it 5 out of 5 stars, I believe. Oh, I only gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think because this was such a hyped up book, John Green is such a accredited author, I was expecting a lot from this, and I'm not quite sure why I couldn't give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I did explain that more in my book review, so I won't ramble on too much, but I will read you the blurb and what it says. So it says, 16-year-old Aza never intended to pursue the mystery of fugitive billionaire Russell Pickett, but there's a $100,000 reward at stake, and her best and most fearless friend Daisy is eager to investigate. So, together they navigate the short distance and broad divides that separate them from Russell Pickett's son, Davis. Aza is trying. She is trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, a good student, and maybe even a good detective, while also living within the ever-tightening spiral of her own thoughts. In this long-awaited return, John Green, the acclaimed award-winning author of Looking for Alaska and The Fault in Our Stars, shares Aza's story with shattering, unflinching clarity in this brilliant novel of love, resilience, and the power of lifelong friendship. So it does cover quite a lot of things in here, but if you're interested in reading about anxiety and how this book really portrays it very well, definitely a book to pick up. The next book I read is one, again, that I read many years ago, and I feel like January was the start of rereading books, as you will see, and that is Charlie St. Cloud by Ben Sherwood. This is a very tiny book, so I'll bring it up close. This is obviously the movie adaptation cover. I don't think I've actually even seen the movie, but I really like the book, and I enjoyed it the first time around, and I enjoyed it the second time around. Again, when I reread books, I feel like I'm not getting as much from them maybe as I did the first time around, but that's just the nature of rereading something. But surprisingly, I did still give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really liked this book. It was very sort of warming, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'll read you the back of the book if you don't know the plotline or if you've not seen the film. So it says, in a snug New England fishing village, Charlie St. Cloud tends the lawns and monuments of an ancient cemetery where his younger brother Sam is buried. After surviving the car accident that claimed his brother's life, Charlie is graced with an extraordinary gift. He can see, talk to, and even play catch with Sam's spirit. Into this magical world comes Tess Carroll, a captivating woman training for a solo sailing trip around the globe. Fate steers her boat into a treacherous storm that propels her into Charlie's life. Their beautiful and uncommon connection leads to a race against time and choice between death and life, between the past and the future, between holding on and letting go, and the discovery that miracles can happen if we simply open our hearts. So even though I've read this like quite a while ago, I couldn't remember how it ended, and it was actually different from what I thought it would end. The twist sort of got me, and it almost plays like a little trick on your mind, and you have to sort of work it out. But I really enjoyed it. Again, if you like sort of romance, and just a really light, easy read, this is one, but it's also very warm in the sense of the relationship between him and his brother, and it's interesting the way that he basically tends to a cemetery. That's like an interesting job. And an uncommon job. So I really enjoyed this book. If you've seen the film, you might want to pick up the book. It's definitely quite an old book, I want to say. When did this first come out? Let's have a look. 2004. And then in 2010, I believe, they made it into a film. So the next 3 books I have to show you, again, are rereads for me, and that is a series. And this is The Secrets of the Immortal, Nicholas Flamel, and this is sort of a middle grade series. I'm actually on the 3rd book. I've only just started the 3rd book, mind you. So I've already read the 1st book, which is The Alchemist, and the 2nd book, which is The Magician. And there's 6 books in this series, and there's a couple of other novellas which I've not actually read. These came out about they must be older than that, but I read them about 5 years ago, and I really enjoyed them at the time. It sort of centres around magic, and alchemy and different creatures, things like that, but all brought into the modern human world. And that's what I found really interesting at the time. Second time around, I don't know if I'm enjoying it as much. I definitely still rate these books really highly. I gave them sort of 3 stars, but at the time, first time I read it, I probably gave them 4 or 5. They're just really easy books to read. And yeah, I will read you the back of the first book so I don't spoil anything for you. So it says, The Truth. Nicholas Flamel was born in Paris on September 28, 1330. The records show that he died in 1418, but his tomb is empty. The legend. Nicholas Flamel lives. The secret of eternal life is hidden within the book he protects. The Book of Abraham, the Maj. Is the most powerful book that has ever existed, and in the wrong hands it will destroy the world. Which is exactly what Dr. John Dee plans to do when he steals it, and if the prophecy is right, Sophie and Josh Newman are the only ones with the power to save the world as we know it. Sometimes legends are true, and Sophie and Josh Newman are about to find themselves in the middle of this greatest legend of all time. So basically, these 2 human twins get mixed up in all this magic, and they could be the centre and like the prophecy that this book was talking about. And sort of it's all about them getting wrapped up into this magical world, and everything they thought was just like mythical and legends turns out to be true. So if you like that sort of thing, this might be a good series for you to pick up. I will say I spoke to my best friend last night about this because she saw I was rereading this, and she really disliked the series when she read it about the same time as me the first time around. But I really enjoyed it, so it's definitely something. Pick up the first book, see what you think of it, and if it draws you in, then you'll probably want to pick up the rest of them. Final book I have to show you today is one that I'm nearly finished, but by the time this video goes up I probably would have finished it. It is Fearne Cotton's book Happy, and this is sort of like a self-help book. She's got a couple of them. I believe there's one called Calm, and I'm not quite sure what the other one's called. But I picked this up because I'm trying to become more sort of mind positive and just improve my mental state at the moment, I want to say. And just, I really want to discover myself, if that makes sense. So this book sort of, it covers various different subjects from having so some of the chapters are happy balance, happy mind, happy body, happy choices. So again, it all centers around being happy, but being at peace with yourself, and being balanced, and being just emotionally okay. And there's different little tasks that you can do in this that help you like sort of ask questions about yourself, and sort of evaluate your life. One of them was, there, if I can find it, there was a cherry that she'd put on the page, like 2 cherries. Yeah, got it. And in the first cherry, you are supposed to section it up into how you see your life balance now. And then in the second cherry, you split up how you'd like your life to be balanced. So in the first one that I could see clearly that work was very heavily part of my life, and that I was putting sort of exercise and that sort of self-care to the side. I wasn't having a lot of time to spend like just me and Darren. And then in the second cherry, I was able to divide it up more evenly into quarters, as that's what I'd like to have a balance. And there's lots of different things. Questions to answer, things that just help you let go of some things. And I've not done all the tasks in it because I feel there may come a time where I want to revisit the book, and those tasks might be more beneficial for me then. But there's quite a few that I've filled out, and it really pained me to write in a book. Like, I even thought about turning the pages at one point, but I didn't. But yeah, I just sort of had to get over this and sort of see it more as like a workbook, and something that I can help to sort of grow. And I really enjoyed it. I've only got a few pages left of it, but I really enjoyed it, and sort of it started me on that sort of trip of becoming more sort of self-aware and self-balanced and just sort of becoming healthier, like not only like body-wise but also mentally, and learning to take care of myself, which I think is something really important. So those are all the books I've read this month. I've read a lot, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I've read about 8 books in total, so that's a lot for January, and I did have a week away at Centre Park, so I was able to read quite a bit then, but I have been able to find the time to sort of prioritise reading a bit more, and I've really been enjoying it. So if you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them down below, and if you've got any recommendations, I'd love to hear them. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!